Oprah's comments come just 18 months after her bombshell TV interview with the Sussexes,
if someone wants to erase
during which they made several damaging and upsetting allegations against the royals, including that one unnamed
celebrating 25 years of being.
Many believe that the interview added to the already tense relationship between Harry and the rest of his family.
These jokers started showing up. I was like, no, you were here first. You can have.
Family member made racist comments about their unborn son Archie's skin.
Meghan Markle is furious, and not just at the headlines. Something far more personal has been exposed, and it didn't come from a tabloid or anonymous source this time. It came from two people she once considered untouchable allies, Tyler Perry and Oprah Winfrey. These are the same people who opened doors for her, protected her, and helped shape her image when the world turned against her. But now, they've let something slip, something Meghan never wanted the public to know. Beneath the glamour and royal drama, Meghan has been hiding a financial secret that's starting to crack wide open. It's not just about fame or falling out with the crown, it's about money, debt, quiet favors, and a hidden dependence that doesn't fit the image she's tried so hard to build. Back in 2020, when she and Harry stepped away from royal life claiming they wanted independence, many believed they had a plan, but behind the scenes, they were scrambling. With no home, no steady income, and no real direction. That's when Tyler Perry stepped in with an offer that seemed almost too good to be true. A mansion in Beverly Hills, full security, total privacy. No questions asked, no rent, no deadline. At least that's what the public believed. But behind that generosity was a growing tension, one that would only get worse as months passed, and Meghan leaned deeper into the help she was getting from Perry and Oprah. Now rumors are swirling that both Perry and Oprah have started to distance themselves, and the whispers suggest it's because Meghan's so-called independence was built on support she may never have intended to repay. And when she found out that private details about her finances, her dependencies, and her behind-the-scenes behavior were being quietly discussed in elite circles, she reportedly snapped. What started as a carefully crafted escape from royal life may now be unraveling, and it's not the firm exposing her. It's the very people who once protected her most. When Meghan and Harry walked away from royal duties in early 2020, they told the world they were seeking freedom. A life away from the pressures of the monarchy and media intrusion. But what they didn't share was just how unprepared they were for that new beginning. With no permanent home, no reliable source of income, and mounting pressure to maintain their high-profile image, the couple found themselves in unfamiliar territory, financially vulnerable and quietly overwhelmed. And that's when Tyler Perry stepped in what seemed like a generous, no-strings-attached act of friendship. Perry offered them his $18 million Beverly Hills mansion, complete with a private security team. To the public, it was a beautiful story. A celebrity lending a hand to two people in need. But behind the scenes, Perry's offer wasn't just about kindness. It was a lifeline that Meghan reportedly relied on far longer than anyone expected. What was supposed to be a temporary arrangement stretched on for months. According to sources close to Perry, the support began to feel less like a favor and more like an obligation. Meghan and Harry had yet to secure their major deals with Netflix or Spotify, and Perry's home became their refuge, their base of operations. But as time passed, whispers began to circulate in Hollywood circles. Meghan wasn't just taking shelter, she was quietly depending on Perry for far more than a roof over her head. And what started as a gift was now the first fracture in a relationship built on trust, discretion, and unspoken expectations. Because while Perry may have offered help freely, he never expected to feel used. While Tyler Perry provided Meghan and Harry with physical shelter, Oprah Winfrey was working behind the scenes in a different way, shaping their image, opening doors, and helping them navigate the ruthless world of American media. From the outside, Oprah's involvement seemed limited to the explosive 2021 interview that made global headlines. But insiders say her role went much deeper. She was a mentor, a strategist, and at times even a fixer, introducing Meghan to powerful Hollywood insiders, elite branding consultants, and high-level PR teams who could help reshape her public narrative. But support like that doesn't come cheap, and it certainly doesn't come without expectations. While Oprah never publicly asked for anything in return, people close to her began to notice a subtle shift. Meghan's requests reportedly became more frequent, more demanding. She wasn't just looking for advice. She wanted influence, access, control over how she was portrayed. And in Hollywood, that kind of control comes at a cost. One not always measured in dollars, but in loyalty, reputation, and power. Behind closed doors, some began to question whether Meghan was taking advantage of Oprah's kindness. There were whispers that she viewed the media mogul less as a friend and more as a strategic resource. And when things didn't go her way, she allegedly pushed back, hard. The same Oprah who had once shielded her from media scrutiny was now being treated like a piece on the chessboard. And slowly, without saying a word publicly, Oprah started to pull back. Because while she may have helped Meghan craft her story, she wasn't going to let herself be written into it without her consent. With Perry's support holding them up, and Oprah smoothing their public image, Meghan and Harry finally landed what looked like their big break. Multi-million-dollar deals with Netflix and Spotify. Headlines celebrated their financial independence, and the couple appeared to be thriving. But behind the glossy contracts and press releases, things weren't going according to plan. Their Spotify podcast, Archetypes, launched with high expectations but failed to maintain momentum. Only one season aired, and despite the massive payout, Spotify quietly pulled the plug. Executives later hinted that Meghan and Harry simply didn't deliver enough content to justify the investment. And then came Netflix, another massive deal with lofty promises. But outside of a single docuseries, most of their planned projects were delayed, scrapped, or fell into production limbo. Sources close to the platforms began to leak frustrations. Meghan and Harry, once seen as a golden opportunity, were now considered a high-risk investment. And with fewer deliverables and waning public interest, the money wasn't flowing like everyone assumed. Despite the headlines, the couple reportedly faced increasing financial pressure, and behind the scenes, that pressure was showing. Instead of building a media empire, they were burning bridges. And the people who had once vouched for them, who had helped secure these deals in the first place, began to reconsider just how much they were willing to risk for Meghan's brand. Because for all the talk of independence, it was becoming clear that the empire wasn't as stable as it seemed. For a while, everything seemed quiet, at least on the surface. Meghan and Harry stayed in the headlines, their projects moved slowly, and their inner circle appeared loyal. But behind closed doors, frustration was quietly building. According to insiders, Tyler Perry had begun venting to close friends about the situation. He allegedly confided that what started as a kind gesture had turned into something much more complicated, that Meghan and Harry had leaned on his generosity far longer than expected, and that Meghan, in particular, seemed to assume that his support was unlimited. Those private complaints didn't stay private for long. Whispers began making their way into the press. Carefully worded leaks that hinted at tension. Tabloid reports surfaced suggesting Perry felt used and that he was growing tired of being the safety net for a couple that couldn't seem to stand on their own. The language was vague enough to protect reputations, but pointed enough to spark suspicion. When Meghan caught wind of the leaks, sources say she was livid. She reportedly believed someone from Perry's camp had betrayed her, and that someone had exposed details she thought would never be made public. To Meghan, this wasn't just a breach of trust. It was an act of disloyalty from a man who had once promised to protect her. And that moment marked a turning point. Because if Tyler Perry was beginning to talk, what else might eventually come out? While Tyler Perry's frustrations were starting to seep into the public, Oprah Winfrey took a different approach. She simply went silent. No interviews, no public appearances with Meghan, no Instagram posts, no statements. And in a media landscape where silence speaks volumes, people noticed. At first, it seemed like a coincidence, but as time passed, the distance between Oprah and Meghan became too obvious to ignore. Insiders began whispering that Oprah wasn't just stepping back, she was distancing herself. And the reason they claimed wasn't just about public image, it was personal. Reports suggest Oprah felt Meghan had crossed a line, that she had used their relationship not just for support, but for leverage. One Hollywood source even said Oprah believed Meghan was strategically name-dropping her to gain access and influence, often without permission. Worse, there were rumors that Meghan wanted another high-profile interview, something Oprah flatly refused. Not because she didn't care, but because the risk had become too great. Behind the scenes, Oprah was allegedly warned by her own team to be careful. That continued association with Meghan, especially as public sentiment shifted, could damage her own reputation. And Oprah, a master of protecting her brand, listened. So she didn't make a scene. She didn't release a statement. She just stepped away, quietly, deliberately. And in Hollywood, that kind of exit says more than words ever could. When Meghan found out what was happening behind her back, the whispers from Tyler Perry's circle, the silence from Oprah, the shift in energy from her closest allies, she was furious. According to insiders, she didn't just feel betrayed, she felt humiliated. For someone who had carefully crafted every aspect of her public image, the idea that private conversations were leaking, especially about her financial dependence, was a nightmare. Sources say Meghan's reaction behind closed doors was explosive. She reportedly confronted members of her inner circle, demanding to know who had spoken, who had leaked, and why no one had warned her. One insider claimed she viewed Perry's alleged comments as a stab in the back, especially after everything he had done and everything she believed she had given in return. Another said Meghan was devastated by Oprah's silence, interpreting it not just as distance, but as abandonment. To Meghan, this wasn't just about reputation. It was about loyalty. She believed Perry and Oprah owed her unwavering support, not just for past favors, but for the role she felt she played in boosting their narratives too. But instead, she was left alone, surrounded by headlines and half-truths, watching as the very people who once protected her began to fade away. And as the walls closed in, Meghan reportedly realized something chilling. The support she thought would last forever had limits, and she may have already pushed past them. Beneath the headlines, the interviews, and the curated brand image, there was something brewing that Meghan desperately didn't want the public to see: financial pressure. And not just the kind that comes from stepping away from royal money. We're talking about mounting expenses, costly PR campaigns, failed projects, and a lifestyle that demanded constant income without the steady cash flow to match. Insiders claim that Meghan, in her push to become a Hollywood power player, invested heavily in her image, hiring elite consultants, brand strategists, lawyers, and media experts. Some of these costs were reportedly deferred, meaning she'd pay later after her ventures took off. But when the Spotify deal fell through and Netflix started tightening its purse strings, those bills didn't disappear. They piled up. And then there were the quiet rumors, whispers that Meghan had taken out private loans or leveraged her connections to cover branding costs and high-end living. It's not public record, it's not confirmed, but multiple sources claim there's a reason she was so reliant on Tyler Perry's home and Oprah's introductions. She was running out of options. To those around her, the cracks were beginning to show. Meghan was no longer the untouchable duchess, reinventing herself in America. She was a woman juggling reputation, resentment, and red flags. And some believe Perry and Oprah didn't back away just because they were tired. They stepped back because they saw the financial storm coming and they refused to be caught in it. In the beginning, Meghan Markle appeared to be in control, carving out a bold new identity far from the shadow of the crown. But now, it's becoming clear that the foundation of her so-called independence may have been built on fragile ground. Tyler Perry gave her shelter, Oprah gave her access, and for a while it looked like they were all working in sync to protect her rise. But as the pressure mounted, as the public turned skeptical, and as the money started to run dry, those relationships began to fracture. What we're witnessing now isn't just a fallout between friends, it's a quiet unraveling of power, trust, and image. Tyler Perry allegedly feels used, Oprah has gone silent, and Meghan, she's left to clean up the mess, fighting to keep her narrative intact while the people who once stood behind her slowly step away. It's a reminder that in Hollywood, loyalty has limits, and even the most carefully crafted stories can collapse under the weight of secrets left unspoken. The question now isn't just whether Meghan can bounce back, it's whether anyone will still be standing behind her when she tries.